Hello, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. My name is Kayla, and today we're doing some thrift flips. So this weekend I finally got around to doing some projects I've either been holding off or some new projects that might have fallen in my lap. I've been doing a ton of online shopping on Poshmark because I figured that's a good way to be supporting people who may possibly be out of work or are struggling to find some sort of income in this really crazy and uncertain time we're in, which, by the way, hashtag stay at home if you can. But anyway, so this weekend I did 5 different projects on 5 different clothing pieces. I spent all day Sunday just sort of fiddling around with my sewing machine and fixing some pieces of clothing that I've either thrifted or I've had for some time and have holes in them. I still have a couple more things I want to do, so if you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and let me know down below once you get to the end if you want to see more videos like this. I have a pair of pants I need to fix, and I've also been using this time of being at home to learn how to embroider, so I have some embroidery projects I want to try out in the near future. So if you guys have any interest in seeing those types of projects, like I said, let me know down below. But now, without further ado, because this video is long enough as it is, let's get into the thrift flips. Okay, the first thing I'm going to be fixing is this wrap skirt. I actually wore this in not last week's video, but the one before. So I actually got this on a discount because the button popped off on the inside. So I just need to put a button in, and then this thing has like a wild slit on it. So because like if you move the slightest bit, it just pops open. I'm going to put the button on first and see if that alleviates the problem, but I'm not sure that it will. So for that reason, I have these little snaps here, and I'll just put 2 of them on in like this area right here. Like literally right here. And even if the button does hold it, I might still do it just to be safe because I'm really not trying to like flash anybody. And this is an easy project. It's just a couple of hand stitches here and there, and then bada bing bada boom, you're done. Okay, so how I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna start by taking the skirt and just wrapping it around my waist to a comfortable distance, because that's the nice thing about having things that are broken. You can sort of customize them a little bit. So I'm just gonna take the needle and pop it through, and that is where we want the button to go. So now we just have like a good starting point, and now I'm gonna take it off, sit down, and sew the button on.
By far, this is the easiest project of the day. So basically, I just sat down with a needle and thread and sewed on a button. The buttonhole was already there, so I didn't have to worry about making it. And so what I did was I actually just stuck my needle through the buttonhole into the other side of the fabric to sort of mark where I needed to sew that button, and then sewed it on and tied a knot in it. You could definitely use a fabric marker to mark this if you wanted to, but it was simple enough to do this. And then I followed a similar process when sewing on the snap on the inside of the skirt. One thing that I found really helpful with these snaps is it actually came with sewing instructions on the actual package. I was able to pick these up in my local Walmart months and months ago, but this worked for this particular project, and I actually ended up using them in a couple of other projects today. So these are definitely handy to have on hand. So once I added the snap, the skirt fit perfectly, and honestly, it saves you from flashing everyone.
Okay, so the next piece of clothing I want to fix is this shirt. This isn't actually thrifted. I bought this at the end of December, just before I decided I was going to stop buying anything from anywhere that isn't an ethical or sustainable brand or from a thrift store. And I bought this brand new at TJ Maxx and didn't realize, because I didn't try anything on, that there are 2 holes on the side of the shirt. So this should be an easy fix. From here on out, all of the rest of the projects are going to be on my sewing machine. So this should be a pretty easy fix. I'm just going to be sewing it down the seam. Just going to, patch up the 2 holes. But yeah, let's head over to my sewing machine.
For this project, I just folded the shirt over and put some pins in. I guess you can do it without pins, but pins really help me with precision. So I just went ahead and sewed this on a sewing machine with the pins in and pulled them out before I reached the foot of the sewing machine. And yeah, it was super quick. It literally took no more than 5 minutes, and that might be more time than it actually took. Really easy to fix, and just a really handy tool to have for mending clothing in general, because I definitely believe we should be wearing clothes and mending clothes so that we can continue to wear them for as long as possible to reduce waste and to reduce our carbon footprint.
Alright guys, there we go. That literally took 2 seconds. It was the quickest fix. So yeah, this is just like a nice tight ribbed off the shoulder shirt. Really quick fix. I actually wore this in an Instagram, this outfit, the other day. So you guys can check me out on Instagram if you want. It was really just like the top up, so you couldn't really see the shorts. But yeah, there you go. I wore it with the hole and all. Now I don't have to. It's fixed. It looks great, I think. 2 down, 3 to go. And these were the easy ones, so. Okay, so the next thing I want to do, so this dress is pulling, as you can see, but it's not pulling because it's too small. I don't know why it's pulling, because like literally look at all of this room. Like there's a lot of room here, and there's like a lot of room here. So what I think I've decided to do, I thrifted this on Poshmark, as I've been doing with a lot of things lately. I think what I want to do is just pull it taut and then just put 2 seams on each side of the button, and then it will just be a slip-on dress. I can slip it on anyway, and that way it won't be tugging, and then the buttons are just sort of fake. But yeah, I think that is what we're gonna do. I'm a little bit nervous about this because it could have the potential to look really jankety. So wish me luck. Here we go to the sewing machine.
Okay, so the first thing that I did for this dress is I put pins between each of the buttons. I then went ahead and ran a scissor across the threads of each button to remove the button because I didn't have a seam ripper. That's a nice little tip, but do keep in mind that if you're too rough on the button, you could scratch it up, which if you're a little bit more particular about the details, then you definitely might want to consider purchasing a seam ripper. I just didn't have one, so I chose not to do that. So anyway, after I removed all of the buttons, I just chucked it under the sewing machine and made 1 clean seam all the way from the top to the bottom of the dress, remembering to backstitch at the beginning and the end of the dress as well. I decided only to do 1 stitch instead of 2 as I initially had planned, and honestly, it worked out perfectly. And then I just went ahead and sewed on by hand each of the buttons, which in truth took the longest amount of time doing this project. I think the buttons probably took me 20 minutes to put on. The seam took me maybe 5 to 10.
Here it is. This took me about a half an hour, and most of that time was consumed with putting the buttons back on. I mean, this looks exactly how I wanted it to look when I bought it. So that's exciting. It fits so well, and that's what I was saying, like, I'm not sure why it was pulling, outside of thinking perhaps because it's such like a slinky, slouchy, ribbed material that perhaps the buttons were just too heavy for it, so it's pulling. But this is perfect, fits great, so happy with it. And yeah, it took me about 30 minutes just to add 1 extra stitch and then sew the buttons back on. So yeah, I think it looks great. Okay, the next 2 projects are the ones I'm the most nervous for. So I've actually done this before. I've moved a waistband on a skirt before. So this skirt is A, too long, and B, too tight. So the easy way to fix that, if you have a skirt that's a bit too long but also a bit too tight, is to move the waistband down. So essentially, I'm gonna just fold the skirt over and just sew it, is essentially what we're gonna do. And then also, there is a slit in the skirt. So after I sew the new waistband in, I may have to sew this closed, which would probably be fine. I just don't want it to turn into a pencil skirt. So we'll have to see how that all goes. But yeah, so let me show you what I mean. I'm just gonna try it on. Okay, so I have the skirt on the inside out because I'm gonna add some pins in. But essentially, this is the length I want it to be, and it is a lot longer than that, if you can see. I want it to be here, and also I need the waistband to be here. I do worry, like, that is a high slit. That is my butt crack. So I'm gonna have to figure, yeah, I think I should be able to close it, and it should be fine. So I'll just throw a stitch in there as well. I am gonna cut the waistband off because it is too tight. All right, so I just hacked off the actual tight waistband to make it a little bit easier to figure out what I want to do. What I'm going to end up doing here, I'm going to just cut all the way around the skirt right below the zipper. Then we're going to do a 1-inch seam allowance. I'm just going to fold it over basically at 1 inch and then sew it all the way around, and then I'm going to fold it again and sew it all the way around, and then just close up this slit that is very aggressively high now because I've cut so much fabric off, and then voila, I should be able to just slip it on, God willing, and if I need to, I will happily add some belt loops.
Okay, so essentially what I did here is I took my little cutter, I guess, I don't know, but I basically put it on a flat, hard mat and then just cut a straight line across, and this mat luckily has some measurements on it. Then what I ended up doing was folding about 1 inch of the fabric over, taking an iron to it to just flatten it out, and instead of having to sew it twice all the way around, I just folded it and then folded it again and ironing it in the process makes it a lot easier to be able to do the multiple folds. Then I put some pins in it. Now, I think where I went wrong here, because as you'll see, this is a bit of a fail. It works, but it's like not that great. Where I went wrong here is instead of creating a waistband separately and then sewing the rest of the skirt onto the waistband, I just folded everything over and created the waistband already in the skirt, which made it sort of fit a little bit weird, and then it caused me to have to do some other random hack jobs to try to get it to work. But
okay, let's chat real quick. So I finished hemming everything and closed the slit, but it's a bit big now around my waist. So what I'm gonna do is I cut a little bit of the seam. I'm gonna sew this together up to like here, here-ish maybe, and then I'm going to put a button on the side, and then I can just button the waist, so that way I can still get it over my hips, which was the issue before, and then it will fit my waist because I'll insert a button. So I'm just gonna go ahead and sew up this little seam here, and then add the button by hand. Okay, it's not perfect. I switched over to my phone because my camera died, but yeah, it's not perfect, but I think it works. So this side is maybe a bit more haphazard. So we have a button I added here, and then I have a snap here and a snap here, and it's working. And I mean, listen, I'm pretty much always gonna be wearing it with like some sort of t-shirt like this. So you're not really gonna be able to see it, and honestly, I think it works for what I'm looking for. I can just check on a pair of Converse, and I think this would be like a cool grungy sort of outfit. But yeah, I think this works. I'm not mad at it. It's not perfect, but it'll do. Okay, so the next thing we're going to be altering is this dress. I got this on Poshmark recently. Super cute. I love that it's like a 90s meets 50s sort of vibe. It is a perfect fit. The only issue is that it's a bit too long. I know some people would consider it blasphemy to alter a vintage dress. This is vintage, but it is just such a weird length on me, and I just don't find this. It is actually like a flattering silhouette, but it's just not something I would never reach for it with it being this length. So I'm thinking here is a good length, just right above the knee. Yeah, I think that would be a good length for this dress. Which sucks because there's this beautiful trimming detail on this dress with the pink piping, and it's this lettuce leaf sort of trim at the end, which is so beautiful, but it would be so much more work to cut all of that off and then re-sew it on. Your girl is going to be taking her time on all of these projects to make sure that they turn out as beautifully and professionally as possible. Okay, so for this dress, I counted 17 polka dots down, and that's where we're going to cut it. So I'm just going to line everything up at the bottom and hopefully make a clean cut. Okay, so to do the hem of this dress, I basically followed the same process as the skirt. I went ahead and folded over the fabric, ironed it down, and then folded it over again. Now, where I did do something different here is you do have to pay attention to the curve of the hoop because it's basically like the shape of a hoop skirt. And you want to make sure that you are paying attention to the angle all the way around so that it doesn't turn out like a weird length and like long on one side and not the other, which I actually did at first and then had to go back in and sew it again. So yeah, here's the dress. I think this looks like something you could probably buy at Reformation, which I don't know, I had the vision. You can't wear a bra with this, which is fine, because there's actually boning in it, which is really cool. So it's got like a corset-y type of, I don't know, something going on. But yeah, so here's the dress. And I just think it looks so cute, nice and short. It's a good sundress. It'd be cute to go like out on a date with someone in. That is the last makeover for today. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. It took me maybe like 4-ish hours to do all of these projects, which in retrospect is not that bad. I would say my favorite project from the day is probably shortening that polka dotted dress. And my least favorite is the leopard, cheetah, whatever skirt. I think if I would have just cut off enough fabric to make a new waistband and then added a zipper and like really done it right, then it would have turned out well, but I didn't do that and I kind of regret not doing that. But also, it's fine how it is. It works for what it is, but maybe in the future I'll try moving a waistband on a different skirt again and just actually do it full on the right way. But yeah, anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, subscribe down below. It's totally free and I'll let you know when I upload new videos, which is every single Monday. I upload fashion related content, and I'm also getting into doing some home decor, decoration, room makeover type of videos too. You guys have seemed to like my most recent video last week, so you check it out up here, where I do an extreme mid-century modern boho room transformation. I have been doing that here on the channel too, but most of the time it's fashion related content. Anyway, don't forget to check me out on social media to stay connected. I'm very active over on Instagram. I'm also on Twitter and Facebook if you want to join the Facebook group, which pretty much everything that I post on Instagram also goes to the Facebook group in case you don't have IG. Love you guys so much. Don't forget, it costs nothing to be kind, so be nice to one another, and I'll see you next time. Bye!